The Imperial fleet emerged from hyperspace, thousands of warships filling the void around Earth. Their hulls gleamed with the cold efficiency of conquest, their cannons primed to reduce yet another primitive world to submission. The Admiral stood on the command deck, hands clasped behind his back, watching the blue-green planet spin below. It was unremarkable, no planetary shields, no visible defense grid, nothing. Pathetic. His officers had scanned the system twice, then a third time, convinced there had to be something they missed. Every world they had conquered had some level of resistance, orbital cannons, deep space fortresses, fleets scrambling to intercept them. But here, nothing. The only vessels in sight were a few scattered satellites and obsolete space stations, relics of a civilization barely capable of interstellar travel. "Open a channel," the Admiral ordered. The bridge crew complied, sending the standard ultimatum. The message was simple: submit, or be erased. Seconds passed. Then minutes. No reply. The Admiral exhaled slowly. Some species tried to buy time, hoping for a miracle. Some refused to accept reality, clinging to the delusion that they could bargain with the Empire. It never mattered. The outcome was always the same. "Perhaps their communication systems are too primitive," an officer suggested. The Admiral barely acknowledged the remark. It made no difference. A demonstration would remind them of their place in the galaxy. "Target one of their cities," he said. "Minimal yield. Make it precise." A plasma beam lanced from the nearest dreadnought, a burning spear of Imperial might. The crew watched as it streaked through the planet's atmosphere, aimed at a major population center. And then, nothing. The beam didn't strike. Didn't explode. Didn't even reach the surface. It simply vanished. The bridge fell silent. The Admiral frowned, glancing at his tactical officers. "Report." A hesitation. Then, "Sir, the weapon was fired successfully. But it did not make contact." "Then where is it?" No answer. "Fire again," he commanded. A second beam, identical to the first, raced toward Earth. And again, just before impact, it ceased to exist. Not deflected. Not intercepted. Erased. The Admiral turned, his voice calm but edged with warning. "Find out what just happened." The officers scrambled, systems scanning, analyzing, searching for an answer that should have been obvious. There was nothing there. No defense platforms, no countermeasures, no anomalies in the atmosphere. And then, without warning, the Imperial fleet's screens flickered. Every monitor, every display, every ship everywhere. A single message appeared, in perfect Imperial standard. "We see you." For the first time in his long career, the Admiral felt something unfamiliar. He felt watched. The Admiral stared at the words on the screen. His officers whispered among themselves, confusion creeping into their voices. There had been no transmission signal, no data breach, yet the message had appeared on every console simultaneously. Impossible. "Find the source," he ordered, keeping his voice steady. The technicians worked furiously, running deep scans, checking for cyber intrusions. The results came back the same each time. No external access. The message hadn't been sent. It had simply appeared. One of the junior officers hesitated before speaking. "Sir, should we consider the possibility that their technology is more advanced than we thought?" The Admiral dismissed the notion immediately. These humans had no deep space colonies, no fleets, no evidence of interstellar warfare. Their technology lagged centuries behind the Empire's. That was fact. And yet, their attacks had vanished. Their systems had been infiltrated. "Prepare a full strike," the Admiral ordered. "Multiple targets. No more warnings." Across the fleet, weapons powered up. Plasma batteries locked onto dozens of locations worldwide. Coordinated salvos rained down, a display of firepower that had broken empires and silenced resistance across the galaxy. And again, the shots never landed. Each blast disappeared as if it had never existed. No explosions, no counterfire, no traces left behind. One moment, the energy roared toward its target. The next, it was gone. The crew stopped breathing. An eerie silence settled over the bridge. The Admiral's hands curled into fists behind his back. His mind raced through explanations, but none fit. "Status on the attack?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. The weapons officer's voice was barely above a whisper. "Sir, all strikes failed. No impact. No record of interception. It's like..." He hesitated, struggling to find the words. "Like the shots never existed." The Admiral's jaw tightened. He refused to accept the impossible. "Send probes. Close range. I want visual confirmation of what's happening in that atmosphere." Small drones launched from the fleet, speeding toward the planet, transmitting real-time footage. The crew watched as they descended, cameras capturing crystal-clear images of Earth's surface. Cities teeming with life. Skyscrapers stretching toward the sky. People walking, driving, completely unbothered by the fleet hovering above them. As if they didn't even see them. A chill ran through the bridge. One of the officers muttered under his breath, "They're not reacting." "Increase magnification," the Admiral ordered. The feed zoomed in. They could see individual faces now. People talking, laughing, living their lives. Not a single one looked up. They weren't ignoring the fleet. They weren't even acknowledging it. And then, right as the Admiral processed that horrifying realization, the probe feeds cut to black. Another message appeared across every screen. "Are you finished?" The bridge was dead silent. Officers stared at their screens, hands hovering over controls they no longer trusted. The Admiral felt it now, the thing he had dismissed at first. Dread. "Check the probes," he ordered. "I want to know why we lost signal." Technicians worked frantically, running diagnostics, pulling data logs. Nothing made sense. There was no interference, no jamming, no known force that could disrupt the signal so completely. The probes had simply ceased to exist, just like their attacks. And then the systems fought back. Screens flickered. Data streams warped, numbers shifting into symbols that no one recognized. Alarms blared as the fleet's AI malfunctioned, processing speeds dropping to near zero. "Sir, something is rewriting our systems," an officer choked out. This isn't a hack, it's..." He stopped, staring at his screen as the text transformed into something incomprehensible. The Admiral leaned in. It wasn't Imperial Standard. It wasn't any known language. The symbols looked wrong, as if they weren't meant to be perceived by organic minds. "Shut it down," he snapped. "Purge and reboot." "It's not responding." The AI core let out a sound. Not words, not code. A noise that shouldn't exist. The lights on the bridge dimmed, the temperature dropping. Then came the whisper. Not through speakers. Not through any transmission. Directly into their minds. "You are mistaken." The Admiral's breath caught. He had faced rebellions, planetary warlords, even rival empires. Nothing had ever spoken to him this way. "What are you?" he demanded. "We are watching." He forced himself to remain composed. "You have technology beyond our understanding. That doesn't mean you're invincible." Silence. Then, a low chuckle, human. "Invincible?" A moment later, the fleet trembled. Not from an attack. Not from an explosion. From something shifting. Every ship's coordinates changed in an instant. The navigational systems registered movement, yet the fleet hadn't moved. They were still in the same place, but the stars were wrong. Distorted. Rearranged. "Sir," the navigation officer's voice cracked. "We're not in real space anymore." The Admiral's fingers dug into the railing. "Impossible." The chuckle returned. "Now you understand." Panic spread across the bridge. Officers scrambled for control, but it was futile. They had been reduced to passengers in their own ships. The Admiral clenched his jaw. He had led conquests across 100 systems. He had crushed civilizations beneath his heel. But this was different. This wasn't war. This was a lesson. The Admiral's breathing was steady, but his mind raced. He had lost control. His fleet, his men, his very reality, all held in the hands of something far beyond his comprehension. He had spent his life enforcing the Empire's will, believing strength was absolute. But strength meant nothing here. Initiate emergency retreat, he ordered. All ships, prepare for immediate hyperspace jump. No one moved. No one spoke. Sir. The officer at navigation swallowed hard. We can't. The admiral turned sharply. It's not working, the officer whispered. The drives are active, but the calculations won't lock. We don't have coordinates. The admiral's fists tightened. Then set them manually. We did. It resets every time. Sir, we're not allowed to leave. A single word appeared on every screen. Wait. The crew sat frozen. No one dared to move. The admiral could feel it now, something watching them. Something far beyond their senses, beyond their reality. It had let them come. It had let them struggle. And now, it decided when this ended. The wait stretched into eternity. Then, without warning, the void snapped back into place. Every star returned to its rightful position. Every system rebooted. Every ship reappeared in Imperial space as if they had never left. The admiral stumbled, gripping the console for balance. His entire fleet had been displaced in an instant. No transition, no journey, just gone, then back. The Empire's capital world hailed them immediately, demanding an explanation for their sudden reappearance. But no one on the bridge could speak. Then, across every Imperial system, every planet, every station, every ship, the final message appeared. Do not return. The admiral stood in silence, staring at the words. The fleet he commanded had never been defeated. Yet today, they had not just lost. They had been dismissed. He turned to his officers, voice cold and final. Issue a decree. Earth is off limits. No ship, no scout, no probe will ever approach that system again. No one argued. Across the Empire, whispers spread. Rumors of a world that did not conquer, did not negotiate, did not fear. A world that simply watched. And as the admiral stood alone on his bridge, he realized the truth. They hadn't been spared. They had been ignored.